Off top, Bears fans, I know this was the week from hell for you, but I watched the tape, and I got some good news for you. You got a superstar quarterback. Play the music.
This is the Domonique Foxworth Show.
All right, I'm here with Charlie as usual, and we are joined, as we always are on Friday, by Mina Kimes and some autumn fresh colors. I appreciate how festive the colors are.
It's for Halloween.
I know, I get it. I mean, it's not Halloween today. It's Halloween today, but it's not Halloween on the day when people are watching it.
What are the family Halloween costumes?
We don't have a family costume this year.
None?
I mean, my daughter, the oldest, is Men in Black. My son is a chicken. And then my youngest daughter is some character from The Descendants.
A chicken.
Yeah, he's got a big inflatable chicken costume. It's like a man riding a chicken, I guess.
Oh, okay.
And then he decided to get a hat and sunglasses and like 5 diamond chains. So it's just like a man dressed as a chicken riding a chicken with a lot of jewelry on.
Okay.
Yeah, he's the star of the family. He always does it that way. What did you decide on for Nino?
I blew it because I forgot this was my one chance to do like a bit with him, right? Yesterday, way too late, I was like, what if Nino was Rizzler?
It's electric.
So funny. But it was too late. And we had already committed to a family costume, which is Nino's going to be the rat from Ratatouille. I'm going to be the chef, and Nick's going to be the critic.
Oh, that's cute.
It's cute.
So you guys,
it's adorable.
You guys have plans? Or are you just going trick or treating? Or you party or something?
We're going to a kid baby Halloween party after this. So
that's so fun.
Love it.
I know. I was like, God, am I really going to miss watching the Jets play in prime time yet again?
Oh no.
Oh man. Well, speaking of tricks and treats,
hey,
let's talk about my man Caleb Williams. So like I don't know. I've been watching Caleb play the last few weeks, and he's been playing better. And then after watching the game last week, I was kind of concerned because of how poorly the numbers were and how he just didn't seem to play well until the end. But
33 yards through 3 quarters.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. But I rewatched the game and I actually felt a lot better about Caleb Williams. But I think we should start with some of the bad stuff that didn't make sense before I get to the good stuff. And I brought some dots for you, Mina. You ready?
All right.
So what are we looking at here before you get to this? This is against Washington.
Yeah, this is against Washington. Right here, it's 3rd and 10. So this is a little bit on Shane Waldron and on Caleb Williams. So they had some success with these. The Washington had some success with man coverage. So the Bears were seeing a lot of man coverage in 3rd down. So they had been going to these stacks to get a win on man coverage, which is a smart thing to do. And it worked a couple times for Caleb. But on 3rd and 10, this seems like an atrocious call.
And the stack being Keenan Allen's bunched right behind DJ Moore here.
Right. It's both sides. They have 2 stacks on both sides, the receivers. And the point of that is the second guy who's like behind normally has an option route.
Okay.
So you follow behind and then you read the defenders, and one's going to be inside, one's going to be outside, and then you move off of that to get open. The issue with this is like Caleb, inexplicably, because he likes to extend plays, he gets rid of this before there's any pressure to a 2-yard route. I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense. It's not much to talk about. It's confusing. And there was, I showed that play because it was kind of indicative of the things that I thought were wrong with Caleb. Is like there were some decisions that seemed like he just didn't know what to expect, and he seemed surprised by it and rushed. And there were also like some accuracy issues where it seemed like either he and the receiver were on the wrong page, or he just had a wild errant throw, but he seemed to understand what was going on. Mm-hmm. This was another situation where early in the game, they had a really good drive to get down close to the red zone, and this is 2nd down.
All right, so we have DJ Moore in the backfield, Swift coming around on sort of a jet action, and 3 receivers out there.
Yep. And so they run a blitz. Caleb sees that it's a blitz, and what I don't understand is 3rd down is you have the tight end coming across the middle wide open, right in this area. You see that right there, wide open. Caleb's looking at him, decides not to throw it, and throws up a jump ball to Keenan Allen that's incomplete in the back of the end zone. It doesn't quite make any sense.
Looks like a quarterback who sped up.
Yeah, and it seems in this situation, it's like what shocked me about this is when it seems like my assessment of Caleb was like when things are calm and he knows what to expect, he's great. And this was an example of him seeming to understand what was happening and still missing the obvious easy throw.
So what did you see with the coverage here? Because you said it was about beating man coverage in the first clip that we saw.
This is looks clearly to me to be a blitz. And when you get the motion, you see how Bobby Wagner, the middle linebacker, adjusts and clears out of the middle and adjusts. So the middle opens up. Caleb's looking at it. It seems obvious to me that that's where you would look to attack where Bobby Wagner is vacating, especially when you know where the play is, and he's looking directly at it and decides to go deep ball to Keenan Allen on 2nd and 12, and that sets up a 3rd and 12 where they get sacked out of field goal range. And so it's a terrible play. It's like a small mistake, but ends up being really, really painful to their chances of winning.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the last play of the bad ones that I selected. Again, he's out here with 3 receivers.
Trips right,
Yeah.
DJ Moore isolated on the left, Roshan Johnson in the backfield.
And it's 3rd and 12. And he makes a good decision here. He finds a matchup that he likes with Keenan Allen. And I have to be honest, Keenan Allen wasn't getting a ton of separation in this game, but he got enough there. And this is just a bad throw by Caleb. And this is one of the few times, like, Caleb's under pressure a lot, and he seemed to, like, use his athleticism to get out of pressure. This time, he chooses to stick in and throw the pass while the pressure's closing in on him, and he misses the target there. But, Mina, when you watch Caleb, what do you, like, see as the issues before we get to the positive stuff?
Yeah, I think in this game, it's a good game because it was kind of like a microcosm of the season, right? First 3 quarters, you saw some of the problems you saw the first few weeks, and then he was magical, honestly, in the 4th quarter. I'm excited for you to get to those plays. But the issues to me typically stem from him either not trusting the integrity of his pocket and bailing, or in a lot of cases, it's holding on to the football or turning down throws. It was a little bit weird. This one, I was surprised by some of the inaccuracy because I thought it looked pretty different from what we've seen the last few weeks, and it felt in some ways independent of pressure in moments.
Right.
But I think it for me with Caleb, like, the ups and downs this season just generally do come down to pressure and how he's handling it and how quickly the ball is coming out. Because usually with Caleb, when the ball comes out quickly, it's usually good.
Right.
It has been my viewing experience this season.
Yeah, I think that's an accurate explanation of how Caleb looks when he's playing. The only other thing that I would add to it is it feels like they're putting a lot on his plate.
Yes.
Like, he seems to have a lot of decisions to make. And that's why I think why Bears fans should be optimistic, because I think that he is going to develop and be able to handle all of this. But when I see the most issues is when it seems like he doesn't know what's coming.
Yeah.
And it's because he's trying to think about where the blitz is coming from. It seems that he's also responsible for protections at times. He has he has the right to audible. You see him doing these things at the line that rookie quarterbacks, some veteran quarterbacks don't do, that rookie quarterbacks don't do. And I often feel like there was a play early in this game where it seems clear to me that he knows what to do and he executes it quickly, but then someone pops up that he doesn't expect. And that's when he goes into these, like, panic modes that it's different, because there's such a thin line between a panic mode and when he's creating, because he does have these great creativity plays, but then he just seems so shocked sometimes. It's like a play breaks down is different than he's getting something that he doesn't expect.
Mina, I got one question for you. So Domonique brought up something about the amount of responsibility that Caleb Williams has as a rookie. And a lot of that we talk about on this show is the situation a quarterback is put into sort of is determinative of who they are as a player. You have a lot of experience watching Shane Waldron offenses. How much do you think that has shaped his rookie year?
It's an interesting question, because when the Bears hired Shane Waldron, a lot of Bears fans asked, well, what was he like in Seattle? And he came from the Rams, right? Mm-hmm. So there was this expectation that it was going to be a very Rams-like offense, in terms of the condensed formations, all of the motion, there's been different versions of this Rams offense, but those were things I think people expected. And then it wasn't really like that, and this Bears offense is also not quite that. But Waldron's an interesting play caller. He has a lot of he's been part of, like, different coaching trees, and there's different schemes in his background. And I think you're seeing that reflected here. The thing that always jumps out to me watching is exactly what Domonique says, which is Caleb is being asked to do a lot for a rookie quarterback. The protections in particular, Domonique, are what really jump out to me. You constantly see him at the line of scrimmage, pointing, directing, in a way that like is just pretty unusual for a young quarterback. And I don't know. I do sometimes wonder if it's like a little bit too much on his plate. And I think this game was an interesting contrast, which isn't to say like it's different with Jaden where like, because Jaden he has full field reads, right? So it's not like a simple ticky-tack offense, but the offense does a lot more for him than the Bears offense is doing for Caleb in terms of giving him answers and getting guys open through, motion and formation and personnel.
Yeah. There was a really interesting point. I can't remember who wrote this in an article that when comparing those top two guys, the offense around Jaden Daniels, I'm not going to take the credit away from him, is making everyone on that offense be the best version of themselves. And that's not the case with the Bears skill position players who the offense was built around. Like you're not getting the best version of DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and Odunze yet.
Yeah, I mean, Odunze's a rookie, so like I don't want to be too critical of him. And again, I haven't watched all of the receivers' games super closely, but I did come away from this game. I came into this game not thinking super highly of the Commanders secondary, which led me to come away feeling
it's
like
a fair thought to have going into the game to the start of the season.
I was surprised that Odunze and Keenan Allen were not getting open, and they weren't getting open fast. Yeah, and that was like,
I was like,
they were just playing.
St. Jude's good now? I was
that's what
people are saying. People are saying,
and like
not in the last drive.
DJ Moore is like he wasn't creating huge separation, but that's not the style of player that DJ Moore is. But I found myself rethinking, like a lot of us have, how great a situation Caleb was really in. And Charlie didn't ask me about Shane Waldron. Like, I've been honestly impressed with what Shane Waldron is doing, because while he is putting a lot of responsibility on Caleb's plate mentally, I do think that sometimes with some of the play calls, there's a lot of screens. That's what I mean.
A lot of screens.
Plays that he has off. Like, a screen play is a play where he gets a mental break. It's like, drop back, throw it there. There was some reads where he had RPO that was either a screen or quarterback draw. Simple reads that are designed to be successful. They ran the ball well in this game, which helped him out a lot. The problem that I see is, like, when he gets man coverage, he doesn't always know where to go because he doesn't have a guy. It seems like he doesn't have a guy that he fully trusts.
Yeah.
And then it's also he's sped up because he's like thinking through everything, which is why like you can be optimistic because potentially he'll master all of this stuff at some point. And the sooner you give it to him, the sooner he can master it.
I think Charlie hit it, he's saying it looks like he's sped up. But the interesting thing, and I think this is a thing you see a lot with rookie quarterbacks, is when it's not going well, he looks both like he's sped up and playing too slow at the same time. That sounds like an oxymoron, but it's like, he is affected by pressure.
Can I like, it feels like you're to explain what I think you're saying is like their body is moving fast and kind of jittery, but they are not anticipating throws. So like he's holding onto the ball, but he's like, and then it's like, that guy is open, throw it. And it's like, you're too slow to throw the ball, but your body is like,
well, he's
anticipating pressure rather than anticipating this guy getting open, I think. I feel
like that's the difference between, we've talked about before on the show, is like command versus accuracy. Like part of being accurate is getting the ball out on the at the right time, so you have the window to be accurate.
He's very accurate.
Yeah.
Part of getting the ball out at the right time is something that I know I've told you before, Charlie, is I think that we assume most quarterbacks are reading the defense as the play happens. And I think a lot of the best quarterbacks, at least I remember this from playing against Peyton Manning, is they know the coverage before the play is snapped. So they've already decided, and while we'll watch them play and say, oh, he's reading from left all the way to right. It's like, no, he knows the coverage. He is snapping and directing the safety, but he knows he's coming back over here. And I think that I see that in the moving fast but playing slow situation in Caleb is like, he's not moving the coverage all the time. Sometimes he's like, oh, I don't know where to go. Anyway, all right, got some more plays.
And we got the positive
Let's
side.
get to some positive. These are just first and 10 man coverage. And the thing that was impressive about this, all right, he's in shotgun, first down. It's
This is kind of the same stack type of thing that the same formation we saw earlier, except for Komet's in instead of a fourth receiver.
This is exactly the stack play, and this is him reading it properly.
Yep. Keenan Allen behind DJ Moore again.
Yeah, and so in this particular play, he watches Keenan Allen, and Keenan Allen reads the leverage of the coverage and then goes inside. Caleb steps up, and the thing that I thought that was impressive about this particular play is it's a demonstration of how comfortable Caleb is in the pocket. Look at that. Look at that. He just
Pockets
in the pocket,
collapsing around him. Yep.
And he seems veteran-like in that. Go ahead, Mina.
I remember this play just from the first quarter. And I think this is something you have seen throughout the season, which is what one thing I love about his game. His size does not prohibit him from seeing the middle of the field well and making anticipatory throws between the hashes.
That's a great point. And he pulls it off against man coverage. It's pretty simple and straightforward. Again, this is a situation where he hard counts them. You see they come up. This play, it's 11 personnel that everyone's spread out with one back in the backfield, and it's 3rd and 5. So 3rd down, you're likely going to get an aggressive defense. Caleb gives them a hard count. They show the blitz. Caleb knows what's going to happen. He sticks in the pocket, gives Roma Dunze enough time to get open, give a hard fake inside, and then throws it.
Dunze is isolated on the right side of the field with the three receivers on the left, and we've seen this formation a lot now as we're seeing how Caleb is starting to evolve and read the defenses here.
Yeah, and so he sees the blitz coming.
Yep.
He holds it again. Pressure's coming, and
a lot of pressure.
Yeah, with this O-line that has not been able to protect him consistently, he still sticks in the pocket. It's pretty comfortable. Steps up, and again, this is a muddy pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm only allowed legally to show you the dots. I can't show you the actual football plays, but it looks even more impressive when you see all these big guys around him, and he steps up into it and delivers a perfect pass to convert right there. That's impressive stuff.
Yeah.
This is another example of the man coverage where he reads it. I put this one in here because you can see
same formation. Keenan Allen stacked behind DJ Moore, Komet in the slot, Adunze isolate on the right side, Swift in the backfield with Caleb.
Right. And so he looks left to start this particular play and then works back right and finds Komet in the middle of the field for a big play. Again, they missed the block. And his guy in the backfield grabbing on him, and he has success.
Johnny Newton was in there a lot.
Yes, Johnny Newton was in the backfield quite a bit. It's 95 for Washington.
Love him.
Yeah, I think he's Charlie's second favorite person in the world, right?
Except for Roger let him wear the crop top for the award Illinois.
So, I mean, those are just like kind of routine, impressive plays. This is, which one was this?
We have 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
Oh, yeah. So this
Trips
was
left.
Yeah, they used the motion to get them to declare the coverage. He understands the coverage. And again, I think this was an example of the magic that he shows in the pocket where he's stepping up and steps across and makes a big play. Like, these are not routine. These are incredible plays that Caleb.
This was 3rd and 10. I remember when this play happened. This was like, it felt like on this play that Washington was about to win the game. And Caleb stepped up and got his body weight. Because that was not like I feel like sometimes we think of the off-platform throws as the stuff like the Rodgers, Jordan Love, fadeaway type throws. He manipulated the pocket and was stepped up and ripped that thing to Adunze there. Which was like, he let it develop, and that was an incredibly impressive play.
These are not easy plays to make. I think this is like, and these are, to me at least, they fall in a category of routine. I have a series of plays next that I want to end with that I just call magic. And this was in the bad game. Like, in the bad game, he had 4 or 5 plays that I just thought were like incredible superstar level plays.
Yeah, let's go to the superstar plays.
We already covered kind of what he does poorly and what he does well, and those are examples of what he does well. Now, this is the athleticism. I think Charlie and I had this conversation, and Mina, I wonder how you believed coming out of the draft, if you thought Caleb, because Caleb's highlights in college were a lot of him being super athletic.
Yeah.
And I remember having a conversation. Did you think it would translate to the NFL?
I didn't think it would be like, Lamar Jackson type athleticism. I thought he might have like a Patrick Mahomes level of athleticism where he would buy time and also like mix in enough timely scrambles to make defenses respect his legs and punish him for it. I think there's been a little bit of an adjustment period where he has had to, especially in terms of like the playmaking and keeping his eyes downfield, where he has had to almost learn the degree of difference between college speed and NFL speed in terms of defenders, because early on I felt like he didn't understand that and he tried to extend when he shouldn't.
I'm not sure if it's the athleticism that I see translating because it's there, or if it's just like the understanding of angles and blockers, because that's pretty much the whole series of these magic plays that I have.
That's the Mahomesian qualities, what you're describing,
but
right? Like Mahomes isn't a great athlete. He just has like unbelievable like physics or something.
Right. But he's a better athlete than Mahomes.
Yeah.
And it's like the combination, and we don't see that super often, in the combination of an ability and the confidence to manipulate the pocket like Mahomes, and also to make the runs that are just fast enough to get past the people you need to get past.
I mean, when he moves around the pocket, he looks like a slightly more athletic Rodgers, like prime Rodgers, when he could really move around a little bit.
So I love this particular play right here. It's a free runner. His offensive line blew a bunch of different situations, and this to me falls in that category.
He's
where
empty set here.
There's an empty set. There's nobody to protect. They have 5 linemen. They end up sending 5 rushers. So it's possible that the line is pushing towards Bobby Wagner just in case Bobby Wagner blitzes, but the blitz comes off the backside. So there's a chance that Caleb should throw this hot, but he has a free rusher right in his face, and he shakes him and cuts back around and turns this into a positive play, a first down.
This is when they had nothing going yet in the game too. This was like it was 12-7 at that point. 9-0. Yeah.
9. Yep.
The thing I did feel in this game and has been one of the things he's improved at this season is directionally, like he's not going backwards in this. You know what I mean? Like that. I think that kind of cuts to what I was saying in terms of like respecting NFL speed, recognizing that he can't do exactly the same types of things he did in college.
All right, here's another one where he had a boot, and
blown up.
There's a athletic defensive end coming right at him, and he beats him to the edge and makes this incredible throw back across his body. I mean, it wasn't even a hard throw, but the vision of it to a wide open Keenan Allen. Again, this is a clutch time in the game. This is that final drive to get them down in scoring position.
This was the play when everyone thought that the Bears had won the game, because this was, we thought. I remember watching this. It looked for a second like Caleb was going to take a big sack with less than 3 minutes left in the game, and they were going to be at 3rd and 10-ish, and he beat Deron Payne around the corner, and he's still being chased by 4 Commanders defenders. He threw across his body. There were a couple of these throws in this game, and obviously he found Keenan Allen here, and it was like he feathered it in. It looked like incredibly easy for him. We thought Keenan Allen might run down and score. I mean, a couple of these plays were like, the camera, we had no idea who's watching it live, who's going to throw the ball to, and Caleb seemed in full control at this point, athletically.
Those are the Mahomes type plays, Josh Allen type plays that just don't come up that often. And this is when his running back got smashed by Bobby Wagner, puts him right in his lap. And again, this is absurd. Go ahead, Mina.
No. Let it play this out.
Yeah, this is just ridiculous athleticism to turn this into a positive play right here on 2nd and 15. And those are normally drive killers. They had a few drives that were killed by penalties. This drive could have been killed by a penalty. It actually happened to get killed by the fact that the next play, Caleb scrambled around and decided to slide before he got to the first down marker. So we're not going to include that.
That was the funniest play. On 3rd and 2, he slid back to the line of scrimmage when he had like an open couple of yards to scramble forward.
Got some awareness to work on, but that's still an example of his athleticism. Here's another example of him manipulating the pocket. You see the lines that are there. Like watching him, now this one might actually be more impressive on the dots, just because you can watch him just manipulate the pocket and find a way to create an opening and still shake Luvu in the open field and turn on 1st and 10, make this a positive play. Like, this is superstar stuff, man. To do all of these in one game is superstar level stuff.
And for the podcast audience, this is when it was 12-0 in the 3rd quarter, and Caleb was getting roasted on Twitter for having such a terrible game against Washington, and people were talking about the gap of this. Like, this is when we were saying he was playing terribly, and it's 1st and 10 there, and he manipulates the pocket for all 4 defensive linemen to chase him backwards, then to the right, then forwards, and he breaks out of the pocket to the left to make that play happen.
Great job. The podcast audience must love you.
Just adding some exposition so they can hear the dots.
This is all stuff we would have talked about all week if they had won, right? Yeah, like, oh my God, what a gutty performance. Because like he was really bad in the first half. I'm not going to be around the bush, but that's another thing you want to see out of a young quarterback is like mentally, can you bounce back? Can you can you put the team on your back? Like the plays you're highlighting are not normal plays. Mm-hmm. Are you going to do the go ball? When was that? Okay.
This is the last one against cover 2. He got a blitz, unblocked blitz coming to his face. It looked like Swift was supposed to pick up.
Placement pressure. They got fooled. Yeah.
Yeah, it looked like Swift was supposed to pick up the rushing linebacker. Swift does not pick him up. It's a free runner. It's essentially the Jaden Daniels against.
Yes, exactly. It was the same thing where he is absolutely drilled, and it was almost identical to the go ball that Jaden Daniels threw against the Bengals.
You could argue that this one was even more difficult because he drops it into a hole in cover 2, which is different than cover 0. Cover 0 is like what they saw, which is like, all right, I got a man to beat. He had this pressure coming and took a shot in the face. I got Charlie upset.
No, this is the one I'm going to push back on because what was
There's
your
nothing
reaction?
to push back
what
on.
was your reaction watching that when he threw it end over end here?
Well, he got hit.
The ball was in the air. We both thought it was going to be an interception.
Right. Yeah. So we were wrong because we couldn't see the whole thing. Now we can see that What is wrong with you, Charlie? Is it just because I mentioned Jaden Daniels in the same sentence?
No. I just was,
I'm going to make this is one where the dots do not do it justice.
Yeah.
I posted it on Twitter the day after because the placement of this ball is insane. And it's actually well played by the safety. Like
it's cover 2. Like it's
picture perfect cover 2 with Bobby Wagner so close to his face, he probably smelled his breath. Like it is an objectively insane throw.
I knew you were gonna make that joke. Oh gosh, yeah, and I guess that's what I came. So this morning I started watching the Commanders defense to kind of figure out why the Commanders are so much better now than they had been. And as I'm watching it, I'm like, Caleb wasn't as bad as we all thought. And so I changed, rather than coming here and talking about the Commanders, I was like, let's talk about Caleb, because I actually think, like, coming out of this game, I'm not, and I feel like I've been hearing a lot of people say, like, we got to be worried about Caleb. And I watched this game like, that guy's a superstar.
Nah,
like,
he's a stud.
Yeah, he's going to be fine, guys. And this is coming off of a stretch of really good games. And this game was, if this is his bad game,
there's both. He was bad in the first half. Like, you showed some like amazing plays, but obviously if this is his bad game for a young quarterback, it's incredibly impressive. And the things that he does well are so unique that it's hard not to see him as like a incredibly good player moving forward. But I don't want to forget, like, he was really rough for huge stretches of the first half of that game.
Yeah, I mean, he's been rough at different points of the year, but I think that he's a rookie quarterback.
Oh yeah, both can be true.
Right. I don't know. Maybe I am in the wrong echo chamber, but it feels like I've been living in this world where there's still a question mark over Caleb Williams, and I don't know. I don't feel like
the high level stuff is insane, and the low level problems, I think, are ones we have seen him solve. He's just not done it consistently. Like, I think back to the Jags game where when he in that game, he played on time, and the Jags defense sucks, right? So obviously relevant. But when he throws quickly, it's so accurate. And I think about the touchdown in that game to Allen up the seam. Like, you cannot throw a better ball than that. The problem right now is just pressure feel, and I think like anticipation on some of those throws, and he still holds on to the football a bit too long, right, at times. But I feel like you have seen enough at this point to feel good. If you're a Bears fan, you should feel good about him, in my opinion.
Right. I agree. Charlie's just jealous, or not jealous, mad because somebody's coming for his beloved Jaden Daniels.
They're going to be an amazing. It's funny because they kind of remind me a little bit of like a Burrow Allen, where like Daniels is more of the Burrow, even though they're not the same quarterbacks, but like higher floor, but maybe Caleb's ceiling. I don't know. I'm not saying definitively it's going to go one way or the other. It's way too early for either of those guys, but I feel like both fan bases should be. It's funny, guys, like amidst all of the like panic about quarterback development this week because of Anthony Richardson, like the top three quarterbacks all look really good to me. I'm including Drake May. Like, I think he's looked decent awesome too in a terrible situation. So Bo Nix is winning. Like, it just feels like, all right, but this draft is actually good. I understand that they played more football in college, but I don't know. Maybe we don't need to draw sweeping conclusions about everything.
No, it's a really interesting point, because if McCarthy's obviously most likely going into a good situation in Minnesota whenever he plays next year, or if he plays next year, and Penix has really interesting skill position players in Atlanta. In theory, if there are 6 above average quarterbacks in the first round of a draft, that is beyond just a good draft. That's like a historic outlier draft.
Yeah.
Particularly if the 3 at the top are superstars, which they are all looking like they'll be top of the league guys.
And like the Burrow draft wasn't that long ago. Like it just.
No.
So we're moving into a place in the league with a lot of really good quarterbacks, which is nice.
A lot more interesting.
Yeah.
Changing the guard happens like really rarely with quarterbacks. Not as often as you think. Like it happens so much more frequently with running backs and wide receivers. You notice it with fantasy, but the quarterback tier stays somewhat stagnant for a long time.
Yeah.
I feel like people just love to on quarterbacks and be like, oh, quarterback play sucks and quarterback development sucks and da-da-da. And it's like, no, actually, there's a lot of really good young quarterbacks. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't get it. I'm impressed with what we've seen from these young quarterbacks, and that is encouraging. You're right about there's always been kind of like quarterbacks by generation, and it feels like there's at least for me, it felt like there's like a group of quarterbacks that are it for like a decade plus, and no one else really comes in. Like some guys come and sniff around, but they don't really establish themselves. Like it feels like we've had guys every couple of years come in and be like, all right, I'm going to be one of them. And it's happening faster and faster. No one's knocked the top guys off, but like you could see CJ Stroud or Jordan Love. At one point, we thought Jalen Hurts also. You could see Jaden Daniels. You could see Caleb Williams. Like, you can see these guys coming in and saying with their play, like, I mean, I might be up there soon enough.
There's
Justin Herbert, I didn't include him.
Yeah, right. They're all
awesome.
under 27, 28. Like, I just feel like there's so many good young quarterbacks in the NFL. I don't understand this panic. The reason the money of them fail is because it's really, really hard. There's only 32 jobs, and teams, because of the value, are taking multiple shots. And yeah, of course, some of them are going to fail.
This is really interesting because this is actually, if you to push this forward, if we're going to make this a young quarterback conversation, if we think that there are a bunch of young guys in the NFL now, if we think that the younger quarterbacks in college football, I know that there are a handful of prospects, not in this draft class, even if people like Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders, but whether it's the Arch Manning, DJ Lagway, Dylan Raiola, Nico at Tennessee, these guys coming into the league, we could see a shift if there are 10 to 12 guys who are knocking on the door of the top guys in the league of like, how do you handle your middle class quarterback?
Yeah.
How do you want to pay the $50 million a year knowing that there are now 10 guys who are just a distinct advantage over the guy you have?
I mean, no one's really had that middle class quarterback success, so I mean, there's no reason to.
They all get paid.
That might be the end of it. You know what? I hope we get to a point where there's so many good quarterbacks that we treat them like running backs, and then we start treating running backs like quarterbacks. It'd be great. Just like when I was a baby in the '90s, it's phenomenal.
You were like 15 in the 90s, like 18.
CJ Stroud just turned 23, by the way. I just pulled up his age out of curiosity. He was 22. He just turned 23.
That's incredible.
How old is Jordan Love?
Who else just turned 23?
Me. Jordan Love's 23.
I didn't know where you're going with this.
Nah, I just was on Twitter before the show and saw that Bill Belichick's girlfriend.
Oh, God.
At Halloween, and then it said that she was 23. And I guess I knew that already, but it still blows my mind every time I see it. So love is love, man. I'm not going to knock anybody. Love is love wherever you find it.
I don't know who tweeted this, but I thought it was so funny. Someone was like, "Hey, if you're 48 years old,"
that was Ryan Fitzpatrick.
He gets spicy on Twitter.
That was great.
That was a great
joke.
Those
don't follow. He's
love is still out
guy.
there. You might not be born yet.
I think he still hasn't forgiven me for saying that the team he was a quarterback on was tanking. I'm sorry,
the
Ryan.
Dolphins, the year that he
You guys didn't tank. I was wrong. My bad. Forgive me.
Well, there's sort of a lawsuit about it, so you're on the right side of it.
Speaking of tanking, how's my Survivor pick going? What did I pick last week?
I was about to say,
every week I have to remind you guys. We don't have to do it anymore if you don't want to.
No. Last week was the last week of preseason. It was the Hall of Fame game, so it's starting. It's starting right now, 0-0. Where me and
Who
Dominique
did I pick
were
last
not.
Week?
Hold on. Let me bring it up. I have it in the spreadsheet.
The worst spreadsheet ever.
You picked the Lions, and Dominique made us pick the Bengals over the Broncos, who I wanted to pick. The Lions won by 38. The
Did
Bengals
you just throw me under the bus.
Yeah, because Dominique said we had to pick the Bengals or the Seahawks every week.
That's right.
And the Seahawks are in a deluge playing the Bills. And I was like, Joe Burrow's really good. So preseason over.
All right.
This is what counts. You can pick any team. Mina, you're up first. 0-0.
I'll take the Saints against the Panthers.
Oh.
Quite a spicy matchup of Jake Haener versus Bryce Young in this
No,
game.
Derek Carr's playing. Derek Carr saw Carolina on the schedule and said, I'm feeling good. Put me in, coach. These ribs are, let's go.
Dominique, who do we want to pick? We're not taking just the Seahawks and Bengals.
All right. Well, then you pick since you're judging me.
Well, let's go
Could
through
take
some of
the
the
Bengals
options
this
here.
I want to go just Seahawks and Bengals for the rest of the year.
Well, the Seahawks are playing the Rams, and
I
that's a
know.
toss-up game.
The Bengals
The
are playing
Rams-
the Raiders.
Yeah. Ooh.
All right. We got Lions over Packers, Vikings over Colts, Chiefs over Bucks.
I'm dialed into that Colts-Vikings game this week.
It's going to be awesome. Joe Flacco just chucking it deep.
Oh,
Commanders
Bills-
over Giants.
Bills over Dolphins, Commanders over Giants. Yeah.
What do you
Go with that one.
which one do you
Let's-
like?
I
Unless you
mean-
want to stick with the Bengals and do the Bengals over the
No, we gotta christen your new helmet now that it's joined the set and go with
All right.
Mando's at the Giants.
All right, we'll do that. I mean, I would like to, as we make this pick, remind you that the only reason the Commanders beat the Giants the first time was because the Giants did not have a field goal kicker.
Oh man, Mina, have you ever had a teammate who won't take responsibility and just blames you for everything and tries to set up a way out for if we lose again?
I tried to pick the Broncos
Well,
last
pick
week
'em.
against Bryce
Well,
Young.
pick them. All right, I don't want the Commanders.
No,
anymore.
we're taking
Pick
the
whichever team
Commanders.
you
We're
want.
taking the Commanders.
I just don't
now
appreciate.
you're making me pick
I don't
against
appreciate.
the Commanders.
I don't appreciate that I picked the Commanders and then you chime in. I just want you to know that that's a bad pick, just in case. Like it's coward behavior.
It's called hedging.
Exactly, or coward behavior. Mina, we love you.
guys
Have fun. Oh, sorry.
Are the worst run Survivor team I've ever seen in the history
Well,
of
we had a
Survivor
rough
teams.
preseason. We're getting it together.
We're all 0-0. We're all
We're
on
not
the
0
same
and
right
0.
now.
I'm like 8-1. Where is
a
the
lot
credit?
of attitude for somebody with no wins.
Yeah,
Jeez.
0 wins. Okay.
A lot of two.
Congratulations, Steve Spurrier. You dominated the preseason. Old ball coach over there, Mina Kimes.
All right, have a fun Halloween, buddy. See you next week.
See ya.
Next up, Jason Goff. All right, it's been far too long, but we have the show Hall of Famer back, Mr. Jason Goff. A perfect week to have him back. He and Charlie's young quarterbacks went head-to-head last week, and I listened to Jason's show this week. It was phenomenal, man. Welcome to the show, buddy.
I'm sad. I'm sad for a couple of reasons. And thank you and welcome to you and thank you for having me. All that other goofiness that people say when they come on the show. I'm sad because y'all check in anytime it's time for me to get kicked in the rocks as a Chicago Bears fan. 3-game win streak, you're like, hey, what's up, Jay? Get a text here and there. We laugh in the group chat that we've kind of formed here. Y'all made me feel like family, but I knew at some point y'all was going to come calling because of what happened in D.C. the other night. And I know, Charlie, you feeling yourself right now. You're heading into the fourth quarter. You ain't got to worry about cuffing season. Life is good, but I'm not here to be the football pinata like I've been for the last couple of years on this show.
So with 6 seconds left in the Commanders Bears game, Dominique goes, "Do you want to call Jason on the show?" And I was like, "Absolutely not, absolutely not."
And then it happened, and then he cursed at Caleb Williams and wanted to have you on badly.
I didn't mean it.
He said it though.
Yeah, I'm sure he did, and he meant it. You ain't gotta lie. You ain't gotta lie for the people out here. It was such a sad occurrence. I was watching the game on delay, right? So I was like 10, 12 minutes late, and I'm making early dinner for the family. My son nor my fiance could give a damn about football, right? So they just sitting there at the table, and I'm like, hey guys, last couple of plays here, game's gonna be over, and then I see the out route. And then I see the Bears sideline scrambling and coaches being coached by players. And I'm like, oh, no. Is this another Bears occurrence that's about to happen in my lifetime? Like, we've seen it. We've seen it too many times in this city. And I'll be damned if my man Tyreek Stevenson didn't show up and say, hey, y'all, take a look at who wants to be the most made fun of player in sports this week. And it'll be me. He raised his hand and,
I appreciate that you turned it into a teachable moment for all young men across America. It was not just a teachable football moment. It's a teachable life moment. Jason got into full unk mode and told y'all all about how y'all acting, how the way y'all behaving is unacceptable.
Dominique, I think you missed the real part of this. is if we had called,
Oh, yeah.
we would have been 12 minutes ahead of Jason on this and broken the news to him live.
I'm
It was
glad.
a
it would've
huge
been
missed
bad.
opportunity.
It'd have been bad because I'd have been talking crazy. I'd have been talking about the fact that for 3 quarters, the Commanders spotted the Bears just yards and points and just like, hey, anytime y'all want to win this football game. But yeah, I did get into unk mode because somebody got to say it, right? And I know if Charlie say it, he going to get canceled. But I can say it, all right? I'm tired of brothers running around without shame out here. You feel me? There's enough shame that's put on us in this world, but damn it, sometimes we need some more. And the fact that this man was celebrating, or either celebrating or taunting, because it kind of switched, right? He said, hey, I was talking to Bears fans. That make it even worse. People done spent their hard-earned money to come all the way out to D.C. to hang out and watch you win a football game, and you out here celebrating with them early? Like, bring back shame. Like, bring back a guilty conscience. Bring back it not being okay. Let's take away some of these excuses. Like, Goff Kravitz 2028, damn it, okay?
That's right.
Like, this is the platform we running on.
No. Y'all not together anymore. Charlie left you.
No,
Charlie
no,
is
no,
no longer. No, Charlie, you don't get to be.
No.
You don't
We're
get
not,
to be
Dominique,
sad.
Dominique, we're not going back.
You
This
don't-
is the united future of me and Jason.
Right.
The
Stop living in
great
the past.
divider over there, Dominique Foxworth.
No. Charlie don't get to go. You just heard it was a second ago where he was giddy about the missed opportunity of breaking your heart over the phone.
Nah,
Would you not
man.
want to do that to me? That's just called the language of intimacy amongst men.
That's
No,
all. Yeah.
the
that's
fact of the
that's
matter
men not
is-
knowing how to explain to each other that I know you down in the dumps. So here, let me pour a little bit more salt in the wound. That's the I love you. That's
It's
how
also
we treat
like,
each other.
yeah, me and Jason are losers. Like we know
no,
that.
of course.
We know that.
No,
Big time.
no. See, that's the difference. Is now you got money and you try to come back to the projects and act like you know what Jason going through.
I do.
Like you
I
don't
do.
know. You have forgotten so
What-
fast.
what
You got a one little quarterback. You got a
It's new
taste of
money,
a
too.
little bit of quarterback. It is.
What
And
new
now
money?
he don't know you no
What-
more, Jason.
This
He
is-
don't know you no more.
This is
It's new money. It's new money.
He's
Kravitz.
gaslighting.
I'm not
Yeah.
gaslighting.
You know what? Now I'm back on Dominique's side of this.
You
It
see the
is.
way Charlie
It
be
is.
walking around here, man.
That's
Oh,
all it
the-
is. It's new
the-
money. He pulled back up to the hood in the new Escalade. You know what I mean? You feel me? Rims shining. You know what I mean? All windows down, American dreaming it. Meanwhile, I'm sitting over here with, it's a Jaguar. It's cool. It's an old one. It's an old one. You know what I mean? Might have to put some work in it.
Look at
You
You
know?
got the oven open trying to heat the house, and
Damn, Dominique.
Charlie got a bunch of new clothes that he can't even pronounce.
Oh
Right,
man.
right. Just going through the hood, throwing Air Force Ones out the window because he wore them one time. That's how you feel right now. It's okay.
Did you have a tiny bit of Ghosts of Christmas Future when you saw Caleb playing Trevor Lawrence in London?
Oh my gosh!
See? Now this is how like technical difficulties happen on shows. Right? This is how you see the green screen, and all of a sudden
I'll have you know
Jason can't join us anymore.
That you don't get to
Yes.
enjoy this because we haven't recorded it yet. But prior to this, I just gave you and everyone in Chicago reason to be happy and optimistic. I promise you. You're going to be happy. You watch the show. Maybe you have to endure a little bit of a smart mouth Charlie over here, new money Charlie over here. But I promise
Maybe I
you,
should be the villain.
I promise
Right.
you things will look up.
No, they're gonna be fine. Like,
Yeah.
listen. I'm very aware, and I've been watching you on Get Up with your shenanigans and Jaden Daniels being an MVP candidate now, and all. I'm with you. And by the way, I'd love to talk to you sometime, maybe not here, but off the record or off mic, about the gap between a young player coming into leagues and dominating. Like, we used to see it infrequently, and now it seems like every year there's somebody who's 22, 23 years old coming into this league, if not at the quarterback position, at some other position where it's like, damn, he didn't need any kind of a acclimation process. Like, Jaden Daniels just came in and was like, all right, half field throws, cool. Now we're into the second quarter of the season. Now we can open up the playbook. I thought the plays that he made against the Bears, some of the plays that he didn't make, like some of the throws that he didn't risk, or some of the times that he was like, all right, I'm going to take off and get 6 or 7. That's the stuff that I was championing Caleb Williams about for this 3-game win streak. We're just taking a profit on each play. And For whatever reason, they spotted the Commanders 9 points for 3 quarters. Like, the game was 12-9 and still in the balance, obviously, with 2 drives left in the entire game. So both teams, I think, offensively didn't do what they wanted to do. And I think one defense got coached up and the other defense is just damn good. I think the Bears defense is damn good.
It's really
I think Dan Quinn did some things that Caleb and Shane Waldron weren't expecting. But I'm not on this Caleb Williams thing ain't going to work out. Yeah. Now, work out is subjective, right? Because if I say that you could have Jim Kelly's career as a fan, you'd be like, hell yeah, that's a Hall of Famer. But then also you're going to have to go up against some quarterbacks that might be better than him, that might outduel him in the biggest games. Or maybe your defense isn't working, or there's a special teams turnover. Like, all these variables come into play. So that's why when these generational quarterback conversations go around the mill, it's like, okay, but what else is happening in that organization? Coaching, right? What else
I know where your real issue is. Your real
come on,
issue
dog. Come on, man.
With a man by the name of Eberflus.
Yo,
he got a fresh haircut.
You can't, that's Domonique. You gotta understand, as people who've been trying to eye and identify undercover cops our entire lives, you ain't no way in hell you gonna slap a new haircut on a dude and all of a sudden tell me that Jimmy ain't Jimmy no more. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, they put a beard, and shout out to Lawrence Funk, the barbershop. I go to the barbershop. Right? Yeah. I'm in on Dearborn right there downtown. Like, I'm in the place that those dudes are at. Well, they go to Hallis Hall to cut their hair, but like, I'm around these cats. I know the work they can do. Hell, they made me look halfway decent, but I'm still me. You know, I'm still gonna do something I shouldn't do. And for whatever reason, Matt Eberflus, when Kyler Gordon in, I believe it was week 2, Sunday Night Football game against the Houston Texans, when Kyler Gordon was going crazy during a play, asking the coaching staff to replay a play instead of being like how normal defenders are, where it's like, all right, just that play didn't go our way, time to get on to the next one. I was like, okay, they got an issue. And then when Mercedes Lewis and some of these boys stood up, it was like, hey, we need to be coached harder. Like, this ain't your name should not demand a certain amount of respect that 7 games shouldn't command, which is the 7 you won. I'm like, all right, now this is a trend. Now we got Tyreek Stevenson doing the cha-cha slide for 4 seconds on an NFL football field while the ball is being snapped. At what point, along with the 3 games that were blown last year, inexplicably, to Detroit and to Minnesota, like, at what point are you going to look up and go, it might be the coaching?
There are a bunch of things about leadership that I think that we don't always, that it's hard to measure and hard to understand, and then they manifest themselves on the field. Because, like, balancing the attitude it requires to play defensive back or play defense in the NFL with the discipline that it requires to not give up mistakes is a hard thing to balance. And it helps to have leadership in your locker room to pull it off, and it helps to set a standard that people are going to follow. We got to get off the Bears at some point because I don't want to lose my friend, and we've been doing too much Bears talk. Yeah, I do want to respond to one thing that you said about the young guys coming into the league and having success early.
This is you just hit the Domonique hobby horse. He's about. Can I say it?
Yes, go ahead.
The professionalization of youth sports.
Why you make me sound like Dan Levitarge while I said it?
It's just because once you get into reruns and catchphrases, I was like, yeah, that's exactly right.
Okay, well, we're going to talk about it.
That had a little Tim Gurchin in it, too. That had a little Gurchin in it.
Yeah, I don't even like baseball. I did watch the World Series, though.
We kind of all did. You know. We got the text messages. You know, we like to see a car accident.
Talk about bad defense. Gosh, I turned it on just at the beginning of the 5th inning, and it was ugly. Aaron Judge
serves them right for what they did to Mookie at Yankee Stadium the other night. Serves them right. I'm happy it happened. Damn it.
You guys saw that quote, right? The fan who was interviewed afterwards that he said he had to D up his area.
Oh,
he was getting congratulated at a bar afterwards. He's like, came into my area, I had to D up my area.
His friend, friend pulling his arm. That's ridiculous.
It was all ridiculous.
Nothing like the entitlement of a onlooker, a person who should be in the. That's the kind of cat who clap when the plane land or clap at the movies. You know what I mean?
I like that onlooker feels like the opposite of naysayer. I like that we just developed something new on this show.
Shout out to all my onlookers out there.
Yeah, all Charlie and all my onlookers out here.
Charlie and the onlookers will be touring this weekend.
We got a new band, Charlie and the onlookers. They just gonna wait for the naysayers to make a song and then copy it.
But you're making it very comfortable though, Domonique. So now people on Twitter are gonna be like, "Hey, I was hanging out with my naysayers. Domonique told me I could say so." You know what I mean?
No,
be careful out
Domonique
here.
can't give nobody credit or nobody permission for nothing. Never. I will never do that. A friend of mine texted me today because Orlovsky on TV talked about how black people smell. He was like, "That's your man. That's your man."
You should add the context.
What?
You should add the context of it.
Nope.
No. You gotta add the context.
That's all.
Hey, if we riding the sundown, I'm down. Just let me know.
This is a funny discussion.
Moving on.
You gotta
I
add
saw
the
him talking
context.
about chocolate and making brothers taste it at the desk today. I saw that. That was kind of weird. Yeah.
He is a special guy. That guy is
You
something
know,
different.
Dan, you know what Dan reminds me of? He reminds me of every employee that you got to pull to the side and be like, "Hey, man, I know your intention, but
Yeah, that's why
and
that's
he
why I
means
tried to
no
explain
harm.
it to
He means no harm.
That's how I explained it to my friend. And I say this generally to like people that I know in media. It's like when somebody has to apologize for something they've done, I've let them know like I'm not gonna be your black friend. I love you and I know your heart, but if you say some you think I'm gonna come on TV and say, "Oh no, he's with me." No. You still with me? I'm still your boy, but you have to deal with that on your own.
You
But
have to feel it.
in the dance situation, when my friend texted me about it, I did like in private to my friend. I was like, "Man, he don't mean no harm. It wasn't like he just you know what I mean." Did you see what he said?
No, I
Okay.
didn't.
You want me to explain?
Yes,
So,
yeah. We need the explanation on this because there's
I didn't see it live. I just saw the clip on Awful Announcing, and he said he just like I guess he dapped up Stephen A. or something, so he got a full whiff of Stephen A. And he said, "I know I shouldn't say this, but why do black guys always smell better than white guys?" It's live on First Take. Molly went silent. Mina is via satellite, eyes wide.
yeah.
as
She
hell,
started
looking
blinking as
shocked.
fast as possible.
We should promote these kinds of experiences, though, because I feel like it's a lot of our white brethren who have a lot of questions, and because of where we're at right now in our discourse as a society, like white dudes just be, that white dude's notes app is full of questions like, "Hey man, I would love to ask you this earnestly."
Some white dudes' notes app is full of questions. Other white dudes, they don't got no questions. They got all the answers, and they are fully comfortable with telling their answers at any time to anyone. So, Dan, thanks for asking, man. At least thanks for asking.
Also, you got to add the context here that Stephen A. immediately was like, part of the problem is that you are someone who admittedly showers in your swimming pool. Uses chlorine to get clean.
Yeah,
and this is amazing because Stephen A. skated
that's
for
real?
talking.
Yeah.
So, that's a thing.
I mean, that's the thing. Sometimes he jumps in the pool and it's like,
I didn't know
clean.
this is going to be the Orlovsky cast, but I'm here for it.
He's a
he
different
gets in the
dude,
pool
man.
to get a little rinse in.
I texted him the answer. I said washcloths. Like,
Right.
You got to get us a good scrub.
And you got to do it every day, right?
The amazing thing was Stephen A. also made a comment that totally flew under the radar in all of this, where he was talking about like fitness and showering. And he's like, "You can ask Molly. She's a master of like staying in shape." And she's like, "Okay, what?"
Just all the violations just happening all in one segment. Our producers just sitting there just pulling their hair out like, you know what? Can we just go to break? Go to break real quick. No, shout out to Orlovsky, shout out to Stephen A., shout out to Mina. But if Charlie, you could be like the go-between, right? You could be the person that all the cats who have the questions in their notes app, just send it to Charlie, and Charlie will kind of send it through his brain, rinse it the way it's supposed to be, and then place it in Domonique's. Yeah. These conversations need to happen. We all got that dude. We all got that dude.
I don't even know how to ask that question in a proper way. If I was trying to like just get some cologne, bro, I'm gonna send Dan some cologne. It's like when I had to send him some Arthur Treacher's. So like I'm gonna send him some cologne and a box of cologne and seasoning. Like let's get with the times, man. We're gonna
the black stocking stuffers.
Yeah. Merry Black Christmas.
Moisturizer. You know what I mean?
I don't know if we're gonna have any time to talk about football games, but we'll get to it eventually, I guess.
I'm down.
Right, Charlie?
Oh yeah. Do you want to tell him about Declan and the helmet?
Oh, okay. So I bought Charlie a present.
Oh yeah, I'm so excited.
Yeah, so
this beautiful Commander's helmet.
If you
on
see
set.
our desk right now, it always just had the two helmets. and one of them Declan made is like a fancy Ravens helmet with gold on it.
Nice.
But I ordered a new helmet because new Charlie's here. So now we film this in DC, so we have to be a full DMV show. So I ordered a new helmet, gave it to Charlie. He put it on the desk. And then it reminded me that 2 weeks ago, I got an email. I was CC'd on an email that my son sent to a custom helmet maker, my 11-year-old son. So get ready. When your son gets an email and gets a mind of his own. So I'm on set, and I see these emails going back and forth with my name on them from my son, and he emailed the custom helmet maker. He, screenshotted a picture of my show's logo, and he said, I'm on the media team of the Domonique Foxworth Show. I would like you to make me a custom helmet, and he using these colors. Please keep it under $650. And him and this guy going back and forth, and I'm on set doing Get Up, and I'm CC'd, and eventually the guy stopped responding. So then Declan called me after school and was like, Did you write back to Kevin and tell him to leave me alone? I was like, no, I didn't. He probably saw that you and I had the same last name, and he Googled and figured out he was talking to a 11-year-old and don't ever do that again. Like, what are you doing?
I think he's enterprising. I like this. I like Deck out here trying to, see the limits and the boundaries he can push.
Everybody likes it when it ain't their kid. Well, everybody likes it when it ain't their kid. That man gonna sign a contract or something. I'm be on the hook for $30,000 for some because he got a computer.
My favorite part was
you at school. He was at school.
Ashley posted a video interrogating him about this, and Ashley was like, why $650? And his response was, you clearly don't know anything about the custom helmet business and how much these things cost.
I'd like to nurture this kind of behavior. You know what I mean? I feel like you got a young entrepreneur on your hands, and you found out the fact that not only can he get out into the land where the product is, but he knows the amount of resources he has at home because he's living with the producer and the person who's providing all the bread. Listen, more power to Deck.
It's all beautiful. And this is the type of story when he's a $1 billion entrepreneur, IPO. This is the type of story that we will tell and say, congratulations. He always had that bug. But I got a lot of friends who was real entrepreneurial when they was young, and the end of their story was different. It's a thin line. There's a thin line between entrepreneurship and other ships.
Yeah, exactly.
And I would like to be clear that line is even thinner for naysayers. And I will not have him out here behaving like he an onlooker when you clearly not an onlooker, sir. So it's all fine and dandy.
He got that onlooker privilege.
You can bend the rules. Some people can bend the rules. And they say move fast and break things. Okay, that works for you. Move fast and break things. That Silicon Valley motto, that do not work for us. That's all.
So you've never maybe spent some money that wasn't allocated to you but was through your parents? Like a few things came to mind immediately where I'm like, I remember buying the first UFC pay-per-view as a kid.
Yeah.
And buying pay-per-view was a big deal back in the day at the crib. Yeah. So it was like, all right, how am I going to get this off? Next thing I know, I see no weight classes, dudes in overalls fighting. Remember the box back in the day? I used to order songs at my grandmother's house. I'd get away with that. You know what I mean? Yeah. You gotta find out what your parents are willing to deal with.
I was a younger brother, so my brother did all that foolishness and I did not. I participated in it, but he was the one that was calling the box to get put him on the glass plate. That was him.
Shout out to 091, Ain't No Future in Your Front, and MC Breed. You feel me? Like those were the days. Charlie, I don't know if you have any similar stories.
He don't even know what the box is.
I got really distracted because I got something to float to Domonique on the spot here that I just saw.
Let's do it.
And this is you might think I'm an idiot. You might think I'm just trying to hurt your feelings, but Micah Parsons and Trevon Diggs did a podcast and didn't list Dak in their top 10 quarterbacks.
Oh God.
And that's below, the guys like Jared Goff and Matt Stafford and Jalen Hurts and Jaden Daniels. Is it possible that you believe in Dak more than his own teammates?
Didn't CD's mama come out against him last year too? I feel like it's a
the whole
bad
squad's
deal
mom.
Yeah, it was somebody else too.
The Dak thing now. Is Dak just going to be the quarterback? And, we could kind of do the Tony Romo thing, I guess, and keep it on the Dallas lines. there's somebody who is going to come just short enough of the goal and do it enough times that is their label, and then we kind of forget what they've done. Like, it happens in basketball because 10, 11 teams have won all the championships. It happens in baseball, but it's such an individualized sport that guys jump ship and go to the rivals, and it doesn't matter. They go win a championship like A-Rod did with the Yankees. But with football, and especially the quarterback position, like I mentioned, like we don't think, and maybe I guess I'm looking at it from the post-Jordan / post-Tom Brady rule where guys get put up to immeasurable standards, because I don't remember Warren Moon being talked about like he was some kind of bum, but I also knew that Warren Moon got to the NFL a little bit later and didn't win anything because the Oilers weren't a great franchise. Like Jim Kelly, like Dan Marino, like we talk about these guys, but then we look at their numbers and we look at the fact that they might have been in that top 5. Dan obviously was top 2, top 3 while he was doing it, but where is Dak? Post-Tom Brady, Dak's going to have to deal with sniffing the Super Bowl.
I think it's already written for Dak. I mean, I think it's hard to imagine a scenario. He's going to have to win a Super Bowl, and I don't see that happening anytime soon. Right. And I think it's already kind of his legacy is already kind of going to be determined as like really good quarterback, but postseason failure. And I think we don't have. It's possible that it's a result of like the proliferation of sports media. Is like we need to have new topics to talk about. We need to have something new to argue. We need to have, so then just over and over we're like, all right, what does he measure here? Where does he measure there? Like there were more places, so to speak, like more roles that you could play in your career in the past. Like you could be Jim Kelly, a name you brought up before. Like that was a spot. You could be Dan Marino. Like these are things.
Jim Kelly got out of the second round.
Right, I know, but I'm just saying that if Jim Kelly's around today, he's not viewed the way that we view Jim Kelly. We view him as someone who chokes in
or Super Bowls.
Right. So I think that can't pull off the big one or something like that. So I think that we've reduced it now to like there's one king, and then you can be on the up and coming. But if you are on the king status, then you either the king or not the king. It's like that middle ground. I guess not really a middle ground, but it's like the top tier guys that are good enough to not get traded, good enough to make Pro Bowls, good enough to be all pros, good enough to be in MVP conversations. If you do not win the Super Bowl, you just going to get fried until you retire.
Lamar.
And then 15 years later, they're going to be like, man, he was good.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson,
Lamar's in that category too.
Yeah.
Kind of, but Lamar's so much better.
Yeah,
like Lamar's going to win a Super Bowl.
I think Lamar. Yeah. I think Lamar and Josh Allen are like they are Dak a long time ago.
No, absolutely not.
No, I don't mean from a talent standpoint. I mean from a narrative standpoint. If Lamar is 10 years in the league and Josh Allen 10 years in the league and they've never been to the Super Bowl, you don't think the headline? Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
But the perception will also be different. They'll be like, oh, this is a really great player.
You think they would talk about him more like Dan Marino?
Yeah.
We would treat Lamar like we treat.
Yeah, those guys are going to be first ballot Hall of Famers, like multiple times, like MVPs, and like it's just different.
So you think it's the second line of their
and it's also the Cowboy stuff. He's just been so overcovered and so oversaturated. That's like a huge fact of it. The best team he was on was that rookie year, and they stuck with him over Romo, and they maybe could have won the Super Bowl. It's also he dominated the NFC East with like such a there was such a gap between
not
him
anymore,
and everyone else. But for a decade,
not
and
anymore.
So it just feels like he had a lot of bites at the apple and never made much out of it.
It's so weird how that comes and goes so fast, where it's like the prove it years, and then okay, you're here years, and then it's like, okay, now prove it more years, and now the prove it more years have been too numerous now, so now it's like, all right, we're kind of done with you. Like, if you have a quarterback now, I think about all the teams, and that's, I think, the conundrum that NFL GMs have now is there's guys you got to pay that you know you're not going to win because of.
Right.
And until they get, like, I used to be a proponent of like having a separate salary cap for quarterbacks so that you can allocate money in a different way and not have to have it be so cumbersome. And then, Sam Bradford being the last guy to get those big deals. But, you go back to Matt Schaub and Andy Dalton being on that first game of AFC wildcard weekend every year for like 3 years seemingly. And like these guys got paid, but you also understand that they might be the limiting factor to your team winning a Super Bowl. Unfortunately, I don't know if Dak is in that conversation because I don't know if he's the limiting factor. There's a whole bunch of other things happening with that Dallas Cowboys team, but he's been the constant for so long that he's, whether he likes it or not, he's going to be the de facto limiting factor, labeled as such, going forward.
Yeah, I mean, my man's out here hawking oikos. You got to win a Super Bowl or make a Super Bowl if you're giving me the 000 Greek yogurt.
It's Cam Newton. Cam Newton did get to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
He was pitching that yogurt.
Yeah.
Then
he talked about routes. No more yogurt.
Oh, that's right. They dropped him after he was like, oh,
Yeah.
you talk about routes.
Yeah.
I saw some weird stat about Cam the other day. Like the only 400-yard game he's ever had was his first one of his career.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Isn't that
He was
amazing?
amazing.
He was amazing. That first he showed up.
I miss the days of us like having the explorational supernova mobile quarterback. Now, these kids coming out 7-on-7 football, 6'5", 230. Like everybody built like Cam, but nobody's playing like Cam. Shout out to Anthony Richardson, by the way. Shout out to him.
Oh yeah, wait, he'll be back. Can we all agree Cam Newton best college quarterback you've ever seen?
Ooh.
So
I don't want to get in trouble here. But college player, Cam, lights out. Did what? They didn't even have a pro, pro on that offense, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
The backup running back. I can't remember. He played a couple years in the NFL.
Who are the other college quarterbacks that you would even put in this conversation? It's like Vic was so much fun, but I think Cam was better than Vic in college all around.
I was a huge Charlie Ward fan.
Yeah, that came to mind too, but Charlie Ward wasn't.
I mean, I think
Tommy Frazier.
You have to put Tommy Frazier. You have to put. You have to
option
say
quarterbacks
Tebow.
are out.
You have to say Joe Burrow's 1 year.
Option quarterbacks are out.
Whole programs are built for 8-10 years at a time in the Big 8 because of option. You're just taking them out.
Yeah, they're out. It's like it's pre 3-point line stuff. I'm good on that.
So
I'm good on that.
So I love that slipped in Tebow when you said no Tommy Frazier.
Yeah,
When I started to kind of move around a little bit, I was like, but then I thought of Percy and Aaron Hernandez.
Yeah.
Shout out. Hey, by the way, Domonique, I haven't talked to you about this since. Hey, man, outstanding job, bro.
Thank you. I mean, I did all the good stuff.
Yeah, no, outstanding job. You know what I mean? There's no one that I'm willing to be made feel more uncomfortable by than your work, by the way.
I appreciate it.
I was sitting there okay.
Some people
still
like
with that camera angle. All right,
it's
cool,
the Aaron Hernandez. He's talking about the Aaron Hernandez American sports story that's on FX that I was one of the writers on. And so when it first came out, some people got on Twitter and like tried to roast me by saying, "I bet you wrote all the gay scenes." I was like, I wrote a couple of them. Like, I didn't write all of them.
Give me credit for everything.
I got you, Dominique.
I'm supposed to be embarrassed? Like, yeah. I was proud of that. I thought that was kind of like, it's like I got in the NBA game and hit a couple threes. I ain't never played this game before, but can I write it? I wrote it.
It was outstanding. Good job. Good job, bro.
That's a great place to end this, I guess.
So Burrow versus Cam. That's it.
Oh, that's where we ended up.
That's where we ended up.
Yeah, that's
Joe
a tough
Burrow.
one. I mean, the thing
they were so good. Both of them were so good, though.
The reason why Cam always wins though is because of what Jason said at the beginning. Is like there were no pros on that team. They had a defensive lineman who ended up not being a great pro, right? Like Fairley, and that was it, right?
Yeah.
And so, and he took them all the way and won the national championship.
Vince Young, he's the college quarterback.
Oh yeah, VY. Yeah.
But could any of the this is the part where it gets tough to like be objective about it or be definitive about it. Is like, could any of them have done what Cam did? My guess is probably yeah.
I think
say no.
No, Cam's the only one. I also think Cam might have been the only person, with the exception of offensive. He could have bulked up and played O-line, but he could have been the best player in college football at any position he wanted to. Every single one.
That's
true.
Dumbest
That's true.
I completely believe it.
No, but it is also true.
Do you remember when there was the halfback pass where he toe tapped in the back of the end zone? He caught it over his shoulder. I was like, oh yeah, you could do this if you wanted to.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, Cam Newton definitely. Yeah, he's the prototype. He's like any position. I'm trying to think of something he couldn't do. I haven't seen him kick. He probably is great at that too.
All you got to do is look at who he got jobs.
Yeah,
he got a lot of people some jobs for his run there at Auburn. That's all you got to look at.
For sure.
Oh yeah,
plenty of money.
Should we run through these really quick? Our good game and guilty pleasure game.
All right, I don't got much left. All right, I got the Lions. This is my good game. Lions-Packers. It's going to be fun.
It's a great. We don't even know who's playing quarterback for the Packers.
Showdown for maybe the best team in the conference. Definitely for the best team. Probably. Well, I guess Minnesota's still in there. But, yeah, 2 best teams in that division. That's my good game. My guilty pleasure game is my beloved Denver Broncos and their man-to-man defense. Their 3 corners that are great going up against my beloved Ravens and Lamar Jackson. Guilty pleasure game.
How do you think that matches up, playing those man corners against Lamar?
Yeah, I think the man corners are good enough that they're going to give Lamar some trouble. Yeah. They don't have the front to rush the passer nearly as well as they should, but I do think the tight man coverage is going to be a difficult. So I think they'll scheme some stuff open. Zay Flowers is tough for anybody to stick man-to-man for an entire game, so they'll make some big plays. And playing man against Lamar, you're going to have to spy him. I think the Ravens just are all-around better team.
Yeah.
But I do think that man coverage is going to be hell for them.
The Broncos are kind of fun this year. I know, obviously, like, we made fun of Boomer Bo Nix when they drafted him because it felt like Chris Winky-ish because of the 6 years of college football.
Oh, Winky.
But, like, I mean, he's been up and down. He's been a rookie quarterback, and the team is, like, they're very watchable because the defense is so good, and, Peyton's scheming it up for them to be decent against bad teams at least. They're 5-3.
I like the Broncos, man.
Yeah.
Their point differential is respectable. Yeah, I think they're on to something good. I ran through them quickly, all right?
Yeah. No, I know. I was just giving a little extra.
Yeah, they don't need no extra. They got a lot.
All right, Jason, you're up.
I like Lions-Packers, and for the simple reason,
I'm with you.
I think the Lions, all that's left for them to do, not only stay healthy, obviously, with Aiden Hutchinson going down and some other injuries that they got on both sides of football, but staying healthy for these next few weeks. I think it's going to be interesting to try to figure out how much further along or how much of a separation there is at the top of the NFC between them and the next best NFC team, as opposed to what's going on in the AFC with Kansas City and what you think of Baltimore, what you think of Buffalo, what you think of Houston now with Stephon Diggs. I think the gap, is a lot wider in the NFC with Detroit and everybody else.
It'll be a good test for their defense, too, because their defense hasn't been substantially tested, I think, since they lost Aiden Hutchinson. So we'll see how that goes. What's your other one?
And the guilty pleasure game? Listen, man, I don't know how this story has come to this point and over the last, decade, but where we met Jameis Winston at and where he has traveled to, anytime the Browns play, I like Justin Herbert. I think he's playing outstanding quarterback these last few weeks that, he's the young quarterback that we don't talk enough about or a lot about because we expect all right, the robot numbers to be out there and them not to go as far as everybody expects them to. I like the Chargers because I just like watching them play football. I like Jim Harbaugh, but Jameis Winston, where we met him at Florida State, all the trials and tribulations, the crab legs, the allegations, all the things, and then to go from that to Tampa to bounce around to all these other teams, he is now turned into the country oracle in Cleveland. Anytime he is in front of a microphone, I have a blast. So I'm hoping that he and the Cleveland Browns are successful so I can get more Jameis Winston putting logos on the Browns helmet that ain't there and eating W's and all the sermons that he put on. I look around anytime Jameis Winston is talking to see if anybody in the huddle or in the group setting is feeling what I'm feeling, which is I don't know what the hell is going on, but I like it.
I think I saw a quote where he said that as long as he can keep playing smart football, they'll be good. It's like, what game were you participating in, Jameis? You were throwing it to them.
Yeah.
They just weren't catching it.
We all have that boy that's got, we got that guy on our team that's just got that ridiculous amount of confidence and anything he says sounds a little bit cool, but you all like, hey, man, that was the stupidest I've ever heard in my life. He's got that kind of charm to him. So I hope the Browns keep winning so I can keep seeing more post-game presses with him.
I love that one. I love that. I will never not be tickled by Jameis just rambling into a microphone.
He's the funniest person in sports right now, dog.
Hands down. All right, so my good game. I'm doing Seahawks-Rams.
Oh.
The NFC West. Wow, I just almost said AFC North. The NFC West is way more open than it has been in years past. The 49ers, Cardinals, Rams, and Seahawks all bunched together. And the Rams are finally healthy, and they're a half game back. And when Stafford and both those receivers are out there and McVay is cooking up plays, they're really fun to watch. And the Seahawks are also very fun to watch with the way that Geno plays football. I think both of those teams are sneaky good and have gotten like the only thing we've talked about in the NFC West this year is just that the 49ers are down. And it's like, no, all of these teams are sneaky good. And then, I thought about doing Cowboys Falcons as my guilty pleasure game just so we could talk about the Spider-Man meme of Kirk Cousins and Dak Prescott, but I think we've hammered that into the ground. So I'm going to do Bills and Dolphins. The Dolphins are 2-5. They're not very good, but now that Tua is out there, at least their offense is kind of fun to watch again. And assuming Achane and Tyreek Hill are factors, like I'll watch them play football in a division game, particularly when Josh Allen's on this other side of the field, just doing crazy all the time.
Sorry, I got distracted a little bit.
It's okay. I was filibustering the kid.
No, you're fine. I was Googling a quote that I remembered Jameis making, and I wanted to make sure that it was good that it was an accurate quote that I found on NFL.com before I shared it. And we will end the show on this Jameis Winston note. He was asked why he chose the jersey number when he got to the league. That was my first number ever, so I just look at it as a new beginning. In high school, I wore number 8. In college, I wore number 5. And 5 minus 3 is 8, and 5 minus 3 is 2. Addition and subtraction. Thank you, Jason Cook, for joining us. Charlie,
my God,
I appreciate you as usual.
Whoa.
The snack attack is back. Shout out to Charlie and his commanders and his beautiful future. Thank you, all the great producers.
Screw the commanders, man.
Podville, I love you. And we out.
This is the Domonique Foxworth Show.